Call the regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order at 7:30. The prayer will be offered by Deputy City Clerk Judith Boileau, and Alderman Moriarty will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please call a roll?
Alderman Wilshire. Here. Alderman Clemmons. Alderman Dean.
Here.
Alderman Cookson.
Present.
Alderman Dow.
Present.
Alderman Karen. Here. Alderman Siegel.
Present.
Alderman Schuneman.
Here.
Alderwoman Malisi-Goller. Alderman McGinnis.
Here.
Alderman LeBrun.
Here.
Alderman Moriarty.
I'm here.
Alderman O'Brien.
Present.
Alderman Lopez.
I'm here.
Alderman McCarthy.
Present.
13 present and 2 absent.
Also present, Mayor James Dodges and Corporation Counsel Stephen A. Bolton. Does the mayor wish to address the board?
Yes, Mr. President. First, I wanted to discuss the road paving initiatives which are on the agenda tonight. The first being the resolution R-17-0889, which has been recommended for final passage. This repurposes some of the Broad Street Parkway federal money for street paving here in Nashua. I think we've discussed this before, but now it's on for a final vote. It will pave Kinsley Street, portions of Amherst Street, Somerset Parkway, and portions of Broad Street. So we can accomplish quite a bit by accepting the repurposing of those funds. The other initiative, road street paving initiative that's on the board that's on the agenda is on for first reading, which is R-17-092. We are proposing here that we follow through on the recommendation of the Board of Public Works and our consultant to initiate a program of paving $7.5 million a year for at least for a number of years. We're proposing here 5 years. The funds to pay this debt would come from the special revenue account, the paving special revenue account, and when we get to committee, we can show how that would work in detail. But both are important in terms of upgrading the condition of Nashua streets, something that I know we all have heard about for quite some time. I wanted to mention the Safe Stations Pancake Breakfast, which was held Friday. It was well attended, raised with sponsorships over $20,000, and was a great time. Harbor Homes did a good job putting it on, and so it'll be a big help towards continuing the Safe Stations program. Around 190 people have reported to a Nashua Safe Station through this week. I wanted to mention and direct your attention to an article which I thought was interesting, written by the town administrator of the town of Auburn concerning the downshifting of state costs onto municipalities, of course, including Nashua. And he details a lot of this that has occurred over the past 20 years or so, and of course, it was going on even before that, but he only goes back that far. But he includes what we refer to as state education assistance, the adequacy grant, but as he points out, this is actually property tax money put onto the property taxpayers and then merely collected by the state and distributed back to the local community. So it's really local communities that are raising the money. He mentions the elimination of revenue sharing funds that were used to be devoted to municipalities. That was taken away in 2010. He references the withdrawal of state support for pensions, which is costing municipalities $80 million a year. He references the reduced municipal portion of the revenue received from the rooms and meals tax. That was supposed to be 60%. That is 40%. That's no longer the case. That has impacted local communities by $58 million since 2010. He references the fact that public wastewater grants for sewage treatment plants and the like has been reduced by $10 million a year. He references that the state has ceased funding its share for disaster assistance for natural disasters. He mentions that school construction aid has been curtailed. He mentions that many costs have been pushed onto counties. Now, counties are paid for out of our property taxes. The budget for Hillsborough County comes from the property taxes of all of the municipalities in Hillsborough County. Nashua pays about a quarter of the county budget. So I hope you'll just take a look at this. I mean, we all know that this has been going on, but I thought it was interesting that he has documented all in one place the history of all this. It's hard to calculate exactly how much each year this is costing Nashua, but it has a very considerable impact on the local tax rate. Next, Mr. President, I wanted to mention the lights. You might see that the lights are LED here. Jay
They're
put
hard
these
to miss.
Jay put these in the last couple days. The cost of the light is about $10 or $15 more than the old light, but this one is a different shade, brighter, and has a life of 50,000 hours. So I think very few of us will be here still in the chamber when one of these burns out. If we use this a couple hours a day, that would be what, 25,000 days from now? They might burn out.
Your optimism about the budget season impresses me.
Finally, there is a coffee at Jajabel's tomorrow if anybody wants to attend. We usually get, this is at 8 a.m., Jajabel's on Main Street. We usually get 10 to 25 people there. Talk about various city issues, often focused on downtown because the participants tend to be downtown businesses or residents. And I think that's all I have, Mr. Chair, Mr. President.
Thank you. Are there any responses to the remarks of the mayor? Recognition period.
There are none.
Reading the minutes of previous meetings. Alderman Wilshire.
Thank you. I move that the minutes of the Board of Aldermen meetings of January 14th, 2017 and January 21st, 2017 be accepted, placed on file, and the reading suspended.
Motion is that the minutes of the Board of Aldermen meetings of January 14th and January 21st, 2017 be accepted, placed on file, and that the readings be suspended. Discussion. Alderman Cookson.
Mr. President, just a quick question. Are we accepting the transcribed minutes, or are we accepting the audio that's on the city's website? Because I don't see any transcribed minutes for those two meetings.
For both of them, or
That's correct.
Do we know whether the transcribed ones are there? All right. We'll just accept them next time.
I'll withdraw my motion.
Communications.
There are none.
Period for public comment relative to items expected to be acted upon this evening. No one has signed up. Petitions.
There are none.
Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to a little housekeeping with the mayor's I'd like to make a motion that the rules be so far suspended to accept a communication that was received after the agenda was prepared.
Motion is that the rules be so far suspended as to allow for the introduction of a communication received after the agenda was prepared. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. And I assume you were referring to the communication from Mayor
That'd be
Donches.
correct. I'd like to make a motion to accept and place on file the communication handed out to us this evening by Mayor Donches.
Motion is to accept the communication from Mayor Donches and to place it on file. Discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Petitions,
There are none.
nominations, appointments, and elections.
To the Honorable Board of Aldermen, I have this day appointed Mohammed Mystique Arf, 12 East Pearl Street, Nashua, to the Office of Cultural Connections Committee for the term to expire February 28th, 2020. I hereby this day appoint Doria Brown, 34 Cellular Drive, Nashua, to the Office of the Environmental and Energy Committee for a term to expire February 28th, 2020, and respectfully request that the appointment be confirmed.
Alderman Lopez,
I'd like to make a motion to accept the appointments by the mayor as read and refer them to the Personnel Administrative Affairs Committee.
motion is to accept the appointments by the mayor as read and refer them to the Personnel and Administrative Affairs Committee. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries.
To the Honorable Board of Aldermen, I hereby this day appoint Mary Green, 38 Concord Street, Nashua, to the Office of Hunt Legacy Trustees for a term to expire December 31st, 2018, and respectfully request that the appointment be confirmed.
Alderman Lopez,
Sorry. I'd like to make a motion to accept the appointments by the mayor as read and refer them to the Personnel Administrative Affairs Committee.
it's the appointment by the president of the board, but
Oh, by the president of the board.
motion is to accept the appointment by the president of the board as read and refer it to the Personnel and Administrative Affairs Committee. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Reports of committees. If there are no objections, I will declare the report of the Finance Committee of February 15th, 2017 accepted and placed on file. Alderman Cookson?
President, I don't believe that the Finance Committee of the February 15th has minutes associated either. For future reference, Committee on Infrastructure and Planning and Economic Development both do.
There what?
They both do have minutes.
Okay. So.
It was only the Finance Committee that they weren't
And
available.
we won't accept the Finance Committee minutes because they're not there. The Committee on Infrastructure of February 22nd, 2017, and Planning and Economic Development Committee of February 21st, 2017 will, without objection, be accepted and placed on file. Written reports from liaisons,
There are none.
confirmation of the mayor's appointments,
There are none.
unfinished business resolutions.
Second reading of Resolution 17-088, authorizing the acceptance of land on Amherst Street and on Sharon Avenue, and the acceptance of a sidewalk easement on Amherst Street.
Alderman Dowd,
I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R 17088 and like to speak to it.
motion is for final passage of R 17088. Alderman Dowd?
Yes, this allows us to accept the land for the added lanes to Sharon Avenue and Amherst Street and the sidewalk that are being given to us by the businesses in the area.
Further discussion? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. R 1788 is adopted. Alderman Moriarty?
This comment isn't on this resolution, but because we're talking about the intersection, I thought I'd mention, and somebody, maybe Mayor can look into it, westbound, now that you go westbound with that new turn signal, the traffic seems to back up during rush hour more than it used to. That may be a fallout of adding time for the left-hand turn.
Which intersection are you asking about?
So exit 7 northbound, then you go exit 7 west, so you're on Amherst Street, and you go through that Sharon Ave intersection now that the light allows left-hand turn traffic off of Sharon onto Amherst Street, during rush hour outbound on Amherst Street, it backs up.
Okay.
whereas I don't think it used to, but, so there might be a little tuning needed to be done.
I would be glad to look into that.
Okay, thanks.
Second reading of Resolution 17-089, authorizing the mayor to enter into a transportation project agreement with the state of New Hampshire for the purpose of resurfacing various federal aid-eligible roadways in the city of Nashua and to accept and appropriate $4,445,000 for the project.
Alderman Siegel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R 17089.
Motion is for final passage of Resolution 1789. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries and R 1789 is adopted. Unfinished business ordinances,
There are none.
new business resolutions.
First reading of Resolution 17-091, discontinuing the Capital Reserve Fund for building replacement or renewal due to disuse.
Are there any additional sponsors? Alderman Dowd?
Yes.
Alderman O'Brien, you wish to sponsor? Alderman Dowd, do you have a motion?
Yes, I do. I'd like to accept the first reading of R 17091, assign it to the Budget Review Committee, and that a public hearing be scheduled for Monday, March 27th, 2017, at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber.
Motion is to accept the first reading of R 1791, assign it to the Budget Review Committee, and that a public hearing be scheduled for Monday, March 27th, 2017, at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. Is there any discussion of that motion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries.
First reading of Resolution 17-092, authorizing the mayor and the city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $37,500,000 to fund a multi-year paving project.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Dowd, Alderman O'Brien. Alderman Dowd, do you have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to accept the first reading of R 17092 by roll call, assign it to the Budget Review Committee and the Board of Public Works, and that a public hearing be scheduled for Monday, March 27th, 2017, at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber.
Motion is to accept the first reading of R 1792 by roll call, assign it to the Budget Review Committee and the Board of Public Works, and that a public hearing be scheduled for Monday, March 27th, 2017, at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. Discussion? If not, would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman Wiltshire. Yes. Alderman Dean.
Yes.
Alderman Cookson.
Yes.
Alderman Dowd.
Yes.
Alderman Karen. Yes. Alderman Siegel.
Yes.
Alderman Schooneman.
Yes.
Alderman McGinnis.
Yes.
Alderman LeBrun.
Yes.
Alderman Moriarty.
No.
Alderman O'Brien.
Yes.
Alderman Lopez.
Yes.
Alderman McCarthy.
Yes.
12 yeas, 1 nay.
Motion carries. New business ordinances,
There are none.
period for general public comment. Mr. Cutter?
Jim Cutter, 86 Pond Street, here in the city. Letter to President McCarthy. Dear President McCarthy, normally someone needs to go before the Infrastructure Committee before appearing in the Aldermanic Chamber, but it seems Steve Bolton cannot think of how to deal with the Cutter family, so here I am. You have heard our problem was caused by building inspectors in 1950 and 1971, who approved permits that took a third of the width of our driveway. Since they are city employees, they are to blame per RSA 626:3, effect of ignorance or mistake. Curtilage RSA 627:9, number 1, are those outbuildings that are near, directly, and closely connected with a dwelling, together with all the land or grounds around the dwelling, such as are necessary, convenient, and habitually used for domestic purposes. Our lot, 33 by 70 feet, known as 86 Pound Street, had a 2 feet 9-inch wide strip of a gap / curtilage at the north end and a 10-foot 3-inch driveway / curtilage south of the house that is protected by the Fourth Amendment, so that none of our property can be taken legally. The Gibbelsons are trespassing and should be ordered from our property by a week from tomorrow, so we can be in compliance with National Ordinance 190-193, parking space dimensions. See my letters to the Infrastructure Committee of 12/8/16, 1/11/17, and 1/25/17. Sincerely, Jim. Thank you.
Remarks by members of the Board of Aldermen. I'll start over here. Anybody? Committee announcements. Alderman Wilshire.
Human Affairs, Thursday night, 7 p.m., right here.
Any other announcements? Is there a motion? Alderman Moriarty?
Pennachuck Water Special Committee, 7 p.m.
Anybody else? Alderman Siegel?
To adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned at 7:52.